We'll have some question answers, inshallah. I know we're running late, but I think everyone is here very eager to have some question answers, if you don't mind, Sheikh, with your permission.
Yes, please.
If you don't mind, I'll take the opportunity to start off with one of my own question. I wanted to ask Sheikh, one thing I've noticed is that some of the Muslims that are getting into this ilm of usZamaan, eschatology, sometimes they get so preoccupied with this issue that they almost, you see people becoming paranoid or completely focused on this one thing, and I wonder if you find that same thing, and if you have any solution to that, or any way that you tend to deal with that particular problem.
Fortunately, I have not found that amongst those who have become my students and who have been studying my books. Indeed, I am sometimes amazed that the thinking of my student is more advanced than the teacher. The student is more advanced than the teacher, and I have great hope in my heart, yes, that a great scholarship will emerge in the future. But I do have a word of advice. When my teacher, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadlur Rahman Ansari Rahimahullah, was teaching me, he trained me never to accept anything unless I was convinced that it was correct. That's how I was trained intellectually. So I would go to him and say, Maulana, I don't agree with you. That man would respond with only a smile. That's all. Nothing else. 4 months later, I would come to him and say, Maulana, now I agree with you. Now I agree with you. So my advice to you is, when you are confronted by these who are becoming a little bit intellectually disoriented with the subject, and they start battering you with their differing views and so on, it is beneficial to smile and let the river of thought flow at its own speed.
Shall we, we'll start with the question from the brothers, inshallah, then I think there's a couple from the sisters. Anyone? Who put that? I think your brother put the hand up first.
Assalamu Alaikum, Shaykh.
Walaikum Assalam.
Thank you for your wise words, useful ones. You referred to hadith of Tamim al-Dari about him going to an island and meeting Dajjal, chained. I read also about Prophet Muhammad ﷺ chasing this Jewish boy. What's his name?
Ibn Sayyad.
And he had doubts that he was Dajjal. And Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu was swearing that he was Dajjal. So how do you reconcile this contradiction?
No, there's no contradiction. No. It's an unfortunate word you used there. The Prophet ﷺ suspects that the Jewish boy in Yathrib, now called Medina, is Dajjal. You must learn to read between the lines. The wisdom of a prophet is unfathomable. So he takes Umar radiallahu ta'ala with him to go and speak with this young Jewish boy, Ibn Sayyad, who incidentally has 2 eyes. And the boy is fairly impertinent in his replies. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu became angry and said, O Messenger of Allah, give me permission, I cut off his head. No, Umar, don't do that. If he is Dajjal, you can't kill him, and if he is not Dajjal, it will be sinful to do so. Now, put on your thinking cap. Dajjal is chained on an island. He's on an island and he's chained. The only way you could suspect that someone in Medina, which is not an island, is Dajjal, is if you know that he has been released. So this event is not meant to confirm to us that this young man is Dajjal at all. In fact, he's not Dajjal. This event is meant to convey to us the news in a manner which you have to have intelligence to recognize it, that the Prophet is saying to you that Dajjal is now released. That's the importance of it. Yeah.
Assalamu Alaikum. Shaykh, Jazakallah khair for your contribution, and I would like to say I watch your videos over the years, and subhanallah, it's as Shaykh Rizwan said, it's a requirement of our time to have this insightful way of looking and the correct methodology.
It's a lovely word you've used there. I don't know who coined it. They took the word in, and they joined it to the word sight, sight, and they made the word insight. A lovely word.
Shaykhna, whilst a lot of your lines of argumentation is very convincing, where I myself find myself in a tangle is when those that I consider who make special efforts to look into the true Islamic history, when I discuss with them, they have a spirit of finding fault on understanding the historical process, not the historical process, but the history that we today glean from. History is written by victors, which you always say and which is correct. But the history that we today, using the technology that we have access to, the history that we have access to is really a big problematic area, which has a huge impact on the ta'wil, as you call, of looking at the subject of usZamaan, let alone that looking at history. So my question is very long, but I'll just codify it as in this. What are the sources of history you have used in your last 30, 40 years of looking at this specific subject? And can you identify the either formative ulama of history in the time of the Khulafa Rashidin up to the Umayyad, then the classical ulama, and then the pre-modern and post-modern ulama that you've used, so that we can also research on those sources? Because I put this to you: whether you study at Sorbonne or Al-Azhar, or whether you're at Medina University or Karachi, today you cannot submit a thesis on any subject referring to our formative and classical ulama's history sources, which are not even translated.
Yeah, I don't think it is necessary for me to point out that I read this book and that book and that book. Toynbee's Civilization on Trial and so on. More importantly is who did I have as my teachers. That's what the more important one. I am amazed by the brilliance of Maulana Fazlur Rahman, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fazlur Rahman Ansari, who established Darul Uloom, call it the Alimiya Institute of Islamic Studies. And I am a student there, and I have a teacher teaching me the philosophy of history. Dr. Burhan Ahmad Farooqi, rahimahullah, taught me the philosophy of history while I was a student in a Darul Uloom. Because of that class I attended, I am able to write books now in Islamic eschatology, because you cannot handle this subject unless you have a knowledge of the philosophy of history. So it's the teacher who made the difference. Number two, I've studied my history in the Quran. Time and again, it is the Quran, and the Quran is not a dead book. It's a living book. And it examines you when you sit down with it. And if you've not been picking up the Quran every day and reciting from the Quran in Arabic, because don't tell me there's an English Quran, that's rubbish. The Quran cannot be translated. I have 75 years to realize the Quran cannot be translated. No, you can try an explanation of the Quran, but not a translation. It is necessary to recite the Quran every day and to recite it from cover to cover. And when you finish, you start again, and when you finish, you start again. Dada Abba used to do it. But today you have the television, and you have the smartphone, which is not so smart, and you have all the traffic on the road, and so the Quran has to be put aside, you see. And the Prophet wants us, alayhi salatu wasalam, to recite the whole Quran cover to cover in Arabic at least once a month. At least once a month. Okay? And if you're only reciting the Quran and you understand nothing what you're reciting, you are disrespecting the book. Be careful. Be careful. If you live all your life like that, bus eating your biryani and going home to sleep, and never make the effort to try to understand. The Imam is reciting the Quran, and at the end of the recitation of the Salat, someone asks you, what did he say? I don't know, but it was a nice tune. You're disrespecting the Quran. When you develop that bond with the Quran and your tears fall on the book, and you burn the midnight oil, and you struggle, and you plant, and you plant, and you plant, and you plant, one day you start to reap. And then you'll understand what the Mughals did to India. They set up the Indian Muslims. And today you're reaping the bloody harvest of what they set up over so many hundred years.
And hence Tamerlane was sent to India.
This is wickedness, really. That you come with a point of a sword. Is that Islam? This imperial Islam, where did it come from? Did the Hindus invite you to come and rule over them? No. If you want to wage a valid jihad, the people have to invite you. The oppressed have to ask you to come. No, you don't come with your army from Afghanistan to conquer India. No. The oppressed have to ask you to come. And I think it's gone now. Yeah. The oppressed have to ask you to come. And then there's a process. You have to first explore and exhaust all possible peaceful means of resolving the problem. And when you have failed, only then you are allowed to wage war. Did they do that in India? And now we have the bitter harvest. And then they take a place which for thousands of years the Hindus considered to be the birthplace of Ram, one of their main gods. And an invader who came with the point of the sword then takes this holy place to build a masjid and leave behind him for hundreds of years to come a river of blood. That's the way to study history. When you go to the Quran, you see the similarity between the Mughal imperial, and the Ottoman Empire. So yes, I am disputing the historical record, and the Turkish Muslims don't like it at all. And the Muslims in the Balkans, they don't like it at all. And maybe the Indian Muslims will also don't like it at all, but this is the truth. We have to reread history. That's right. We have to reread history. And when we reread history from the light of the Quran, will be able to remove the cobwebs and see things as they are. And that is what has happened in India. We've been set up, and that was happening in the Ottoman world. We were set up.
Probably one last question, inshallah. Anyone has got a very good question?
Please.
Who said please?
Can I ask? Assalamu Alaikum, Shaykh. In some of your previous interviews and lectures, you referred to the authorities of Russia as Zulkarnain. On that analysis, could we conclude that the hands of the Russian authorities are, blood free of innocent people?
Let me try to repeat, because sometimes my language may not be properly.
Yeah.
I may be tired, working, traveling for months and months and months, and you get tired and you use unguarded language. Zulkarnain is someone who impacts on two ages, not two horns. The first age or the first people is there in the Qur'an in Surah Al-Kahf. And power emerges divinely ordained, resting on the foundations of faith. And that power is used to punish the oppressor, liberate the oppressed, and to treat those who have faith and who are righteous in conduct. Treat them nicely and reward them. And he does that in the region of the Black Sea, Ainun Hamiyah. I don't think there's much need for debate that it is a Black Sea. Good. And then he travels to the other direction. We leave that for the time being. When the second of the two Karnain is to emerge, it will have to be after Gog and Magog have been released, because he built the barrier. And he says, هذا رحمة من ربي فإذا جاء وعد ربي جعله دكاء وكان وعد ربي حقا. Allah is going to bring down this barrier, and they're going to be released, Gog and Magog. So it is after they are released that the second of the two currents, the Karnain, will occur. How will we know that we are in the Karnain, the second of the two? How will we know? Answer: it has to manifest itself in the region of the Black Sea first. From the time that the Qur'an was revealed to this day, have we seen power emerging in the region of the Black Sea, resting on the foundations of faith and being used to punish the oppressor and liberate the oppressed? It could not be the Tsars of Russia, who were imperialists and who waged bloody wars on the Muslims. That wasn't Russia. That was Tsarist Russia, taking Russia for a ride. You'll do your homework one day and you'll read the history and study it. Why do you think they call him Peter the Great? Yeah, because he served them. Why do you think they call her Catherine the Great? Because they served them. Why do you think this fellow got this Sir so-and-so, I don't want to mention his name, because he did so much for them. That's how he got the knighthood, you see. So it could not be Imperial Russia. No. Then you had the Ottoman Empire, which took control of Crimea and control of the Black Sea. It could not be the Ottoman Empire, because the Ottoman Empire was an aggressor, waging bloody wars of aggression, not liberating the oppressed, but oppressing them. So I dismiss them. Now I see, for the first time, since the Qur'an was revealed, power emerging in the region of the Black Sea, which is authentically Russia, not communist Russia, not Soviet Union, which was there to destroy Christianity, not the Tsarist Russia, which was taking Russia for a ride. No, this is a return to your Orthodox Christian roots in Russia. And this Russia is powerful. It says, don't mess with nuclear Russia. Those words. This Russia is powerful. And this power rests on foundations of faith. Russia has not totally returned to Orthodox Christianity. The schoolboy is not seeking to understand that. But Russia is returning. And if you have 5 rupees worth of wisdom in your head, you will say that's good, that the Christian people are returning to the Christian faith. Good. When Russia took Crimea, or recovered Crimea, because Crimea was Russian, when Russia recovered Crimea 2 years ago, Russia now controls the Black Sea. Once you control Crimea, you control the Black Sea. That was the sign that the second of the 2 currents is at hand. It is not a Pakistani Navy who is going to come and take control there, or Saudi Navy. No. The Russians are too powerful. They're the most powerful force today in the world, standing up to the United States. It's not Pakistan. So I am saying to you that the second of the 2 currents is at hand. And Putin is not important. Putin can die and someone else can replace him. It is Russia, Orthodox Christian Russia, which is returning now to power in that region of the world. And if I am correct that this is the second of the 2 currents, then this power is going to be used to checkmate Gog and Magog. That's coming up.
Jazakumullah khairan. I think probably we've run out of time, brothers. I know there's a lot of questions, but I'm sure you can probably approach the Shaykh afterwards. Just quickly, before we have the food, please do include Mrs. Sophia Chowdhury in your dua today, who has sponsored this gathering. And she gave the money to sponsor this gathering before she passed away last month. Allah have mercy on her. And we'll ask the Shaykh to finish with dua in a minute. And also to let you know, the next halaqah inshallah will be in our new building. We're moving to a new building which will be closer towards West Drayton. We have the keys for the building. If brothers and sisters also want to help us in the move to the new building, is going to cost us about £40,000 for building works, etc. Please do feel free to give your donations. And you can approach Brother Faisal Saleem if you would like to donate any money towards that. And I hope inshallah we'll ask the Shaykh to finish with dua, but I hope that he will be joining us regularly whenever he's passing by in these places, and we will continue to benefit from his knowledge. If I will ask Shaykh to make dua, inshallah.
Okay. Before I make the dua, that my books are outside. We got a shipment recently, and most of the important books are now available. And if you want me to autograph, you can just bring the book to me, inshallah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم اغفر لحينا وميتنا وشاهدنا وغائبنا وصغيرنا وكبيرنا وذكرنا وأنثانا اللهم من أحييته منا فأحيه على الإسلام ومن توفيته منا فتوفه على الإيمان. We pray to thee, Allah, and beg of thee, Allah, to kindly have mercy on the soul of our sister Fawzia Chowdhury. Kindly, Allah, forgive her sins. Kindly grant to Allah that the questioning in the grave might be easy for her. Kindly grant to Allah that she might sleep peacefully in her grave, and her grave might be cool and spacious for her. Kindly grant to Allah that she might be raised on Judgment Day, and by thy kindness and thy mercy be blessed with Jannah. Allahumma innaka afuwun kareemun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna ya kareem. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من عذاب القبر ومن عذاب النار ونعوذ بك من فتنة المحيا والممات ومن فتنة المسيح الدجال وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وعلى أصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا